Robyn Kesnow, RVT with Animal RN. I'm answering a few questions that I get very commonly as I run around operating Animal RN. Cocktail party questions, if you will, or maybe reasons why people have me over for a consultation. Today's kind of a big one. It's inappropriate elimination. So this is specifically for our cat people, and this is when your cat is urinating outside of the litter box. Okay, so if your cat is urinating outside the litter box, first thing, number one, no matter what, do not pass go until this criteria is met. Always assume a medical problem. I'll tell you why. First of all, the male cat anatomy. It's downright cruel. It makes you wonder where evolution was planning on stopping, because it cannot have been where the cat male anatomy has ended up. Basically, their plumbing is upside down, backwards. It's not cool. And I say that like it's a joke, but the reality is male cats often have problems with urination. The slightest thing goes wrong in their system, and they end up having a hard time urinating. The solutions for this, once diagnosed, could be as simple as a quick urinary catheter, could be a little bit more lifestyle changing, but not so traumatic in the immediate, which is a dietary changes, and it could be more involved, like surgery, hospitalization, fluids. It can go on from there. And of course, we're not even talking about getting into crazy things like cancers, pushing up on urethras, and things that happen beyond that. But the male cat anatomy alone is a reason to assume that it's a medical problem. It just wasn't made right. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, so the other reason to assume medical is a simple exam can guide their diagnostics. But in general, because there's certain problems that are pretty common in cats that lead to inappropriate elimination, a physical exam and a urinalysis could be all they need. Maybe if they haven't been in a while, they'll want to do a basic blood panel. Now, you don't have to get all crazy with this. We can start with the basics and build up from there. So if you're not going into the vet because you're worried about a huge bill, have a conversation with them. Talk to them. Let them know your priorities. I mean, just think about it. When you can't urinate and you have to, it doesn't feel good. So it's not fair to our cats to stay out of the vet because we're worried about a big bill. Let's go in aware, educated, and have a conversation so we can at least figure out what's going on. It could be an easy fix. There is one thing that I feel like if we took action right away, maybe could be done before going into the veterinarian and checking on medical stuff. That is cleaning of the litter box. I can't tell you how many times I come into a home, do a consultation about the cat. The family is so frustrated for the cat urinating outside of the box, and with a little bit of questioning, very often it's turned out the responsibility for cleaning the litter box has shifted from, say, parents to children, from one person in the family to another. And so often, what we were okay with, or what we determined to be the chores or the frequency in order to avoid smells in the house, whatever the criteria is, doesn't match up with what your cat thinks. Think about it. These guys are walking through landmines of their own urine and feces. I'm not trying to gross you out. Yeah, I am. That's what's happening. If they want a clean litter box, let's make sure they have a clean litter box. The rule for litter boxes, and this might sound excessive, however, it's definitely something to consider if you're having a problem. The number of litter boxes we should have should be 1 per cat plus 1. So if you have 2 cats in your home, you should have 3 litter boxes. They don't have to be strewn throughout the house. They can all be in one area, in the back of some closet, all together. The point is just that there's always a clean, dry space for them to go eliminate and take care of business. Now that we have medical addressed, we've taken it off the table. The vet's figured out it's not a medical problem. What else could it be? And a lot of people assume this right away. That's behavioral stuff. I go out of town, my cat pees on the bed. So I definitely want to first rule medical out. Then when we get into behavioral, there's a lot of different fixes. This is where the consultation comes in handy, because it can be if this, then that, and we have a back and forth, a conversation. We kind of work through it together. Let's face it, cat urine reeks. It's one of the worst smells on the planet. You get this stuff in your carpets, you have to not only replace the carpet, no shampooing is going to get that smell out of there long term, but in addition to that, you usually have to rip up the pad and spray all kinds of stuff on the foundation underneath there. It's a mess. That stuff's nasty. So if you're going through this, I completely understand that you're exhausted. And if you've ruled out medical and you're trying to see if it's a behavioral problem, my biggest piece of advice is try to be patient, because it could be a while to figure out. Now, the best tips I have, there's a product called Feel Away. It's aromatic pheromones. They sell these in 2 ways. Now, one way is a diffuser, you know, the thing that plugs into the wall and it puts out the scents, like Febreze, but for cats. So there's that. The problem with that, and it says it on the packaging, but so many people don't read the packaging. If you have a big area, that stuff won't work. The diffuser's sometimes $40 for one. And if you have a large house, you're going to have one in every room. And if your rooms are open or have high ceilings, it's not going to work. The scent isn't going to be concentrated enough for your cat to actually get any of it, and you'll go broke in the meantime for the rest of you to all smell cat pheromones. So what do? They do make a spray, and you can strategically spray this in areas where your cat is. On a carpet and the favorite spot where the cat likes to hang out, near the litter box, near areas of stress, whether that's doors or windows or children's bedrooms. So that can be helpful. Now, some people have great success with that stuff. Some people will tell you it doesn't work for anything. It's something to try, and if you have that stinky smell, if you're there, you'll try anything, this is something to try. Okay. Now, there's also products like Rescue Remedy. There is a difference between the pet product and the human product. The human product has a little bit higher alcohol content. So the last time I looked, you'll definitely want to make sure that you get the pet one. And I would love it if you looked up the ability to put it on the inside of their ears instead of giving it to them orally. It can have a greater effect. This is another thing that, some people have had really great benefits from, and some people haven't had the same results. So definitely use this as one of many tools that you might try out. Understand that it's not always going to work for every animal. Now, if you want to get right down to it, if you have a behavioral thing, bring in a behaviorist. Yes, there are people who specialize in cat behavior. If that sounds expensive, if that sounds crazy, how's about if I tell you that one of the main reasons why cats end up in the shelter is because of inappropriate elimination? What if I told you from my experience working in the veterinary clinic, cats end up euthanized because of inappropriate elimination? So if it sounds expensive to hire a behaviorist to help you figure out why this is happening, if that all seems a little far-fetched and out there, how about that's your baby girl's kitten? And if that cat goes away, you're going to break her heart. And then what is the fate of that cat if they end up in the shelter? So it might seem a little out there. I'm asking if you'll consider it. Or at least try, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to, if it's not going to work, consider trying to find a new home for the cat from someone who is willing to take these steps. Another behavioral solution ties us back around to our veterinarians again, and that is prescriptions. Now, I always prefer to avoid chemicals and prescriptions when possible. However, if you're at kind of the end of your rope and you need a solution, we've ruled out medical problems, we're pretty sure it's behavioral, and none of the remedies, solutions are working, there are some cases where a prescription could be appropriate. There's some behavior modifying medications that can be utilized, and veterinarians have had great success with treating, so to speak, inappropriate elimination. So that is an option for you. It's definitely, again, if you're at that end of that rope, something to consider, because if it's that or the shelter, I'd rather see the cat on medication. Okay, and then the last piece that comes up a lot for me, operating animal RN, as we work with older animals, it does tie into the medical stuff, but it's not always as obvious, and you can kind of troubleshoot this at home on your own. Our cats, a lot of times, people have reported that they're stoic. I actually disagree with that. There are signs of pain, we just don't know what they are. There's a video on that. One of the things they do that's a sign of pain is changing their use of the litter box. If you've got a deep-sided litter box and an old baby who might be having a little arthritis, so they're still jumping up, they're still excited to see you, but they've started not using the litter box, or the litter box is inside of a bathtub. Think about when you've been sick and gone home from work, you didn't feel well enough to work. However, you get home and you feel a bit better. Your motivation to tinker around your house or enjoy your day is a little bit stronger than your desire at that job that you may not love as much. So that's an example of our cats kind of pushing through. So if we have a physical problem, things we can do if we have that deep-sided litter box, we can cut out a bit of an opening for them. So that's one option. We can use lower-sided boxes. I've even seen pee pads that people use for their puppies and just sprinkled a handful of litter to help identify that that's what this was meant for. Always assume pain. Now, I'll address pain in a different video, but bottom line, getting old doesn't always feel good. We know this firsthand ourselves. And as their mobility decreases, some things could be changing in their bodies. Just because they still jump up to greet you or jump up to stay in their favorite spot doesn't mean they're not a little bit uncomfortable the rest of the time. Something to consider, and another thing that your veterinarian can absolutely help you out with. I'm Robyn Kesnow with Animal RN. I hope that these tips around inappropriate elimination are helpful. If you have any questions or you have a particular solution that we didn't address here, I would love it if you would share it in the comments. One of the things that I think we're missing is a place where people can share their experiences. We can all benefit from having cat after cat after cat and problem after problem after problem. There's some easy solutions out there if we could just get together and share them. Put those here, and I'll talk to you next time.